Hello peoples of the internet. Today I will be creating a 70s economy car, somewhat like the AMC Pacer, only possibly front wheel drive. This is the body I've decided upon. There's not much choice for what I'm going for precisely. I think we might bring that forwards. I think I might use the Mini's philosophy of having a small area for the engine as possible, and then using the rest of the space for interior. We're going to have a two-door hatch like this. I'd say I could expand this outwards, target the American market more where they like big things, in my head at least. And that should do the trick. Looks slightly less ugly than I imagined it would, but it's still not a pretty car. I would bring that back as well, but I can't, so I'll have to just lower it. Ooh, how about that? I don't know, I would say I hate it, but it doesn't actually look that horrible. If I could use it properly, maybe I could make something of it. Aerodynamics at least. And we just don't need loads of grills and stuff since it's only an economy car really. Could go with a ladder, but again, we don't need it. Try and keep this thing light and cheap. Should we go with galvanized steel? How is it to manufacture it, I wonder? Yeah, looks okay. We'll go with that for the chassis material then. I think we'll use struts front and coil rear. Unless that does affect boot space. Torsion beam. That seemed like a fairly common technology. Yep, torsion beam gives us pretty good boot space, so I'll use that. Fairly European actually, in terms of the overall layout now. Material, we're going to just use steel. No need for anything too fancy. Yeah, I don't really like this, but we do have to go along with it, so I'll do the design and I'll return when I've finished. So, here we have our uninspiring appliance. The number plate is very low. I couldn't think of anywhere else to put it without completely blocking the airflow. I've got some chrome down here, chrome door handles, and besides that there's nothing really to speak of. The rear lights are fairly basic, and we've got all the other stuff you need there. It's not the best design in the world, but I think it works for its purpose. It's a little ugly as well, but we'll probably have to paint it green and just call it the Tortoise. Seems vaguely appropriate. Maybe we could go with a darker green. There we go. Nah, not quite tortoisey. That should do it. And we need front wheel drive, naturally, there's nowhere else to go. So now I'm going to build an engine, and then I'll return with what I have decided. Now here I have what is perhaps an uninspiring lump. It's got a 2-barrel carburetor, and that's about as exciting as it gets. It's a 2.5 litre engine, barely, with a pushrod cylinder configuration, and it's cast iron. Not much to speak of there. Everything's cast iron on here. You'll see the bore and stroke. I've set it up so the engine doesn't explode basically. As I've set up the cam profile to sit a little lower so it only revs to 5600 and doesn't explode or anything crazy. It could rev a little higher, but I don't see much point. I've got 152 newton meters of torque and 112 horsepower. Seems decent enough specs in their own right. The torque is a little on the high end side, but it's nothing ridiculous. It makes a lot of torque, so it should move it, even if it is a slightly heavier car than would be ideal. I say a lot of torque for the type of vehicle. It is an economy vehicle essentially. It's naturally aspirated, and we have a 2-barrel carburetor, as I mentioned before. I have adjusted the ignition timing. I just managed to find another horsepower there, but I didn't think I would do that. I adjusted the exhaust as well. No luck there. Anyway, 113 horsepower now, so I'll let you hear the engine and see how it runs. Yeah, and it wants to explode when you start revving it really high. Believe me, it was working fine. Now I have to lower the compression again. I think it's because I adjusted the ignition timing or something and it got mad at me. There's also valve flow, but I don't think that's too much to worry about. We have bigger problems. Yeah, I've lost power again though, which is odd. It was saying... seemed to be saying it was reducing power, because if that is what it's saying... reducing reliability. It was just confusing me for a while, thinking it was saying it was reducing power and it was clearly making power go up. Anyway, the engine also 150 kilos exactly. How is that for precise? So we've got to move on to the transmission. Let's make it an uninspiring 3-speed automatic. Why not? Just like the engine, really. I can't wait to see how quick this is. I can imagine it doing something like 7 seconds 0 to 60, which it would be crazy for this. It does go 112 miles per hour. Would you trust it at those speeds? Probably not. But then, it's apparently capable of it. We have an open differential, let's just leave it on that. No need at all to go for anything fancier. It'll spin away its power, but at least that's the safest way of doing things. Now, I'm not sure if I can do it, but I think I'll have 195s if I can, and maybe slightly smaller wheels. 11 inches. I can make the ways wider. No. Front doesn't want to budge for tyre widths. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make them slightly larger. And we should be ready now. There we go. I don't like having a wide body economy car, but it works. 195s are a little wide actually, even with the wider arches. 185s, we'll just have to hope this puts the power down. Because if it doesn't, we're slightly doomed. Should I bring that out? Nah, let's leave those in. And there we go. Hard long life, steel wheels. Yeah, let's just give it Porsche wheels. Make it look slightly better. 15-inch Porsche wheels to show off. We can go with 2 LS drums on the front and drums on the rear. If this is not cheap, I don't know what I'll say, because with the amount of money I'm putting in this is not a huge amount. I think I can have 185 brakes on the rear, something like that. That should do the trick. We can go with a skid tray. Go with semi-clad because it's cheaper to manufacture than fully clad. Or cheaper to engineer, should I say. And we've got far too much cooling, even with just that grille. I'm not sure if it's a shortcoming of the game or if it's actually like that, where you just give cars more cooling. This should do the trick anyway. We've got plenty of brake airflow. We can go with 5 seats. Let's say premium interior. No, we have to keep this thing cheap. And we'll go with a basic radio. Power steering, but I may remove that if it's a very light car. Mind all that torque steer you'll probably get. We can go with, I think, standard safety. Yeah, keep price down a little. And we can have... I think we'll spend a bit more on the suspension of all components. That's not ridiculously expensive. It comes out as a pony car. Come on, it's a front wheel drive economy car. 945 kilograms. I think it's probably better with power steering, because it's not ultra light or anything, and it has got a fairly decent amount of power, as much as I hate to admit it. Now, how much does it cost? Yep, it's very, very cheap indeed. I wonder if we could put a nicer interior in this and keep it under 10,000. We've got power steering, so the extra weight isn't much of an issue. I think we can, actually. 5% on the base. It's not as profitable as I would have liked it to be. That has to be said, but I don't think I've done too bad. You get a nice interior and it's cheap to manufacture. What more could you want for this kind of vehicle? Now, how quick can it go? 110 apparently. I think that's about as quick as we're getting it. That edges it back slightly, but we could do with closer gears perhaps. That should do the trick. 15 miles per gallon. Yep, my attempt at an economy car isn't actually that economical. Mind, it is quick for the era. Sub 12 seconds 0 to 60. And it seems to keep getting better, yay. 10.6. This is verging on scary speeds for a economy car that's not very well held together. 10.5 even. Yeah, I think I'll leave it there. Set it up for comfort again in case anything's changed. And we're going to take it round here and see how it does on my new leaderboard. Yay! Okay, so here we have the vehicle after it's been round the track. I've also taken a few more vehicles round to give it something to be compared with. And you can just see the engine sticking out there. It's quite a large engine for this car. But anyway, it is a 2:53.32 time, which is okay, I would say. I struggled to find things to compare the time to, the closest being a slightly heavier, slightly less powerful by about 22 horsepower city car, which I called the Premium Blob. That was around 3 seconds quicker, and I'm fairly happy with that time though. I mean, I know this is higher spec, but considering it's a much older car and fairly cheap at that, I won't really worry too much about it. We'll see also, if we go back here, I can show you again. The transmission is pretty terrible, remember. It's a 3-speed automatic, which is never going to be good for performance. I'm pretty sure I could get much closer or even overtake that car on the leaderboard if it had a better transmission. But I wanted the automatic because it's supposed to be a terrible car, pretty much. I can't help but think it's not safe having bits hanging off like that, honestly. Anyway, let's take the body off so we can see some more of it. Yeah, it's actually a transmission. No, it weren't. I wonder what it was hanging off. Nah, I don't know. Can we see? It's gone now. That's odd. That's very odd. It's gone. But then it was there, hanging out the bottom of the car. Anyway, very, very simple mechanically by front wheel drive standards. The engine looks small now. I don't know. I thought it was massive when there were bits hanging out. Maybe it's just me. Anyway, look forward to more videos of similar things as I am putting a leaderboard together, and you'll finally be able to see how cars compare to each other on this game, which is always a nice thing to see. Also worth mentioning is it has beaten the Nissan Micra, which was a mini rival of sorts I built. And as I was actually thinking, I mentioned it was like a Tortoise earlier. So here I return, and as you might be able to see, I've named it the Tortoise. Now, the reason I had a kind of jump there was Shift is my record or stop recording key on OBS, so when I was using Shift to write the name, I actually kept unpausing and pausing the video essentially, and it messed it up. But anyway, I have noticed a small problem, and I can change it with caps lock, so it's not the end of the world. Oh dear, turn caps lock off. Can have the Tortoise there. I can hope I've said that correctly. The engine is called the Castaway V6 and the Island of Hopelessness. If I get some more layers away, just look at how hopeless that little V6 is. It's okay, it just has 15 miles per gallon, which is completely inexcusable. I mean, really. It's such a basic engine, though, that's why. It's probably from the 50s. It also has a focus on power, which doesn't help. If I'd gone the other way and gone for pure economy, there wouldn't have been a problem with it. Yeah, so I could have done a much better job of the engine. The car itself isn't bad, it's just the engine isn't great. What's the weight balance of this? Fairly average for a front wheel drive actually, despite having all that weight on the front end. All the more interesting, I guess. Also, my Samsung thought I was supposed to be awake now, which is odd, because I am awake and all that. Still, I'm going to have to leave you with a beautiful shot of a tortoise and say goodbye until another day.